My name is Gurup Dorji.
My name is Prakash Pradhan.
My name is String Palmo.
My name is Chetan Dorji.
My name is Namitalkar.
One of the flagship program of Bhutan Board for Certified Counselor is mental health facilitation training. It is a 5 days training which has a 30 credit hours. It is an international curriculum designed by National Board for Certified Counselors in the US. So National Board for Certified Counselor is a world governing body for counselors. So BVCC is affiliated to NBCC. So we conduct 5 days intensive it's a time-bound training, and where we train our counselors in the field, the social workers, psychotherapists, psychologists, and besides that we train the frontliners. So including our renew volunteers, so even the health workers. My organization, we are very much concerned about the societal issues, and we thought this mental health facilitation training is one of the most important program, and we reach out to as many people around the country. So far we have trained more than 400 individuals. Some come from the professional background of counseling, social work, psychology, while others are the frontline workers, especially our community-based support system volunteers.
Basically, our organizations, we basically look into the children's, from children's perspective. So we know so that education is equally important as well as mental health, because as the world is growing and as the time passes by, it's very important that we facilitate to them that what is mental health and the advantage, as well as how to inculcate with that mental health and overcome with that stress. So we focus on that. As an educator, we basically seek facilitation facilities from other agencies. We get to know about mental health, as well as we facilitate. When we get that knowledge from facilitators, we usually give that same knowledge to our students, because we think that it's very important for them to know that how mental health will take their life. So it's very important, and we basically facilitate to our students.
Coming from your background and having to deal with kids all the time, what is, or how would you define what we call mental state of a mind or something?
Basically, as we have already got trainings from agencies about mental health, we already inculcated that, and we are practicing it daily. But when it comes to the children, they are not aware of what mental health is. They are basically doing what they want to do. Having said that, they actually take suicide as a common word and an easy word. Whenever they face problem, the only solution they find is suicide. So we stress on that. We try to facilitate on that suicide is not the problem, a solution for the problem. So we inculcate with that thing.
How would you want to encourage them, a kid from taking that suicidal path? What would be the best solution to say, keep them away from trying to go where they want to go?
One of the best thing to distract them from having having suicidal thoughts is that through meditation. I suggest them to meditate 5 to 10 minutes each day. If they are not able to meditate for 5 to 10 minutes, then they can go for 3 to 2 minutes. Because I believe that meditation is the best solution for everything, for every problem that we face.
As per me, I feel that mental health is a very important topic for the well-being of an individual. Not having a good mental health affects every aspect of one's life. We as an individual experience a lot of different states of emotions, feelings, and cognitions, which is most often caused by not balancing one's life, not balancing situations and stressful lives, for which I would define mental health as not having to cope up with our daily lives. We face, as I said earlier, that we face a lot of different mental state. So I feel mental health is a very important topic. We should very much rarely talked in Bhutan currently. Thank you.
Actually, when you say that mental health is rarely talked in Bhutan, maybe in that context, maybe you're right. But Bhutan as a Buddhist country, being born as a Buddhist, and also, oftentimes getting educated yourself in that field, I think we talk about, our mind as much as, in any of the textbooks you can say. So, from that perspective, I think it's thoroughly discussed, but unfortunately, I don't know how much deeper are we going in there. For example, we do talk about, helping somebody who has this suicidal intention. But at the same time, I appreciate your saying that, you can meditate and all, but then in what context do you ask them to meditate? Repeating myself, it's like, are you valuable enough? Do you weigh yourself enough? If we find ourselves valuable, then we take the best care of ourselves. If we love ourselves enough, then we take the best care of ourselves. And that sprouts out and radiates, in your own circle, and then it multiplies. And I think it's true with the trouble, our problems that we have around. So, if we, again, to solve a problem or to create happiness, it has to start from me as a person. Oftentimes we see that, we want everybody to be good, humble, and always happy, but you do not want to change. And that, I think, is a big issue. That's the biggest problem, I think. So, whether it's to deal with mental issues or, for that matter, anything, I think you have to start from yourself.
If mental health is not taken seriously, if an individual who is suffering from some mental health issues, it can be stress, it can be distress, it can be even to the extent of disorders, mental disorders, and we know so many, right? Then that person cannot contribute to the overall development of himself. He cannot contribute to the development of the communities or to the nation as a whole. The person may become listless and miserable, and a person, may be stigmatized, as we all know that mental health is always associated with stigmatizations. People will label them, instead of helping them. That is the world that we are living today.
Mainly in this modern world, the mental issues are arising from people's desire and people's needs, so that it is if people desire to have more and more, then if they don't achieve such things in their life, so from that some people may get mental issues. And also people's wants, desire, and all these things will cover up mental issues. And for that reason, if the governments and all in every regional or in every hospital or centers, if they provide facilities for mental issues, mental health facilities, then it will be better for it will be reached to local as well as for all the communities, if they provide basic mental health facilities in every hospitals and PHUs.
when you reach a facility, that means something has already happened, you know. So wouldn't it be wise to sort of, take it to the roots so that we don't really have to use the facilities, you know? And how do we do that? And especially now, mental health sometimes can be very tricky because, each one of us have different waves of thought, right? And even as we're talking, you might think that I'm mental because maybe I don't agree with you, you know? So it can be very tricky, but yes, I think what we're trying to talk here is about harming yourself or, the society and such. In which case, we have to do something. The concerned agencies or people like, youth like you who are involved in that have to do it and be there even before, the second step comes in. During my time of school, I think it was in a process of, sort of developing. And 30 years or 20 years now, education system has gone through a lot of change. And I cannot say whether it's for positive or negative, but I'd like to hear from you as to what you think of the present education system.
I think education should be a need-based. Our curriculum should be designed according to the need of the time, It should be dynamic, it should not be stagnant, Because what worked yesterday may not work tomorrow, So it should be dynamic.
Different people go through different stages in life, and not everybody acknowledges what one or any individual goes through. And one of the major concern is stigma in today's life. And I think these are mainly caused by negative labels and discrimination and the fear of public not being accepted by the general people, and because of these beliefs around the people, they go through a lot. In a nutshell, this is why the people suffering from mental illness, they face a lot of discrimination because of this stigma, and then people end up suffering and they end up seeking care and support from the people nearby, starting from the home itself. They can't even share or talk to. And I feel this is a very major concern. People should talk, discuss, and have that care and support around.
Just to add on one question, both of us sirs have mentioned that if one person faces stigmatization, then one should open up. And one of the answers I have given was to educate, to give a better facilities to them. So my question here is, if that person have inculcated education as education in themselves, but they aren't opening up, so what should we do to open them up about their problems?
Well, my personal experience is, whenever people come to me, I say, let's chat.
Because we cannot literally drag them.
Yeah.
The first thing, the most important thing here is to put them on a comfortable ground, and not to be the one that, you are the best, that I can help you kind of thing. It's more like trying to develop a relationship between the two persons. And then, when you are in a true kind of understanding ground, that's where friendship comes in. And if you're a friend who can trust each other, then, you can open up. And I think that's a part that I feel comfortable going, and that's a part that I felt actually helped people.
In order to reach unreached ones, about the issues like mental health, if the issues, if someone knows if the relatives, friends, or if they knows about some agencies, or if some person has like mental issues, so they can talk with relatives and your friends, relatives, or even like your family can inform, and one should talk each other in the family also. And if other person do not have information about like mental health facilities, so the one who knows should be give guidance to them. And one question here is like, if they, like my friend said, like if they have like also like they got education, they have got like families with mental issues, but when they come, they have to come in person, no? Like person talk with issue about their issues. So how, if they are not, one should be like comfortable to talk each other. If they are not comfortable to talk each other, so how can you make that other person feels comfortable to talk to you, and that the other person think that, how can you make that other person think that you are like confidential and you can help?
A last thing to ask, maybe, it's around the previous question on stigma, labeling, and discrimination. So basically, people are labeled even though they should not be, and they be discriminated even though they should not be. So coming to talk about LGBTQI community as well, I have heard and seen as well they being discriminated differently of how they live their lives. So actually, we have the freedom to live differently. Every individual has the freedom to live their life the way they want to live. So the question here is, how can we change this attitude of being labeled? People have internalized their thoughts differently, so where they be labeled and discriminated. So the question is how we can change this attitude.
You know, what I feel is that, as you said, I want to live differently than what you do, and so does he or she, you know. And each one of us would have an opinion of how we live. I think it's very important to understand that, because we're talking about LGBTQ. We're saying, like, you know, what I say is, first and foremost, get yourself out of what you think other people are thinking of you. Up until then, the world can keep quiet with their zip mouths, and you'll still feel that thing called stigma. So please come out of that first. From, you know, if I'm a lay or a Gazin or an MSM, whatever, let me first accept this. What I find is that there's no acceptance of who you are in the first place, and that has created a world or a barrier, and then shared to the society which is next to you. I don't have to be totally right, but that's my opinion. So first, come out of your shell and be who you are, and do not take into consideration as much as what other people are saying. Because people will have their opinion, whether it's good, bad, or neutral, you know. So just be who you are, live your life, and I can say, oh, that person lives in this fancy house. That's a statement. And I can say, oh, look at that person living in a shack. That's a statement. But if you want to take that as a discrimination, it's your take. What can I do, right? So let's make it easy by coming out and being who we are, and not so much, you know, be bothered at what the other people are telling about you.
From my own point of view, I think that there should be more of facilities given to the, I would say, to the illiterate people, because they usually don't get the information as we get in a developed place. So I would rather say that to give more of facilities or programs to the unreached people.
More
More?
awareness around every corner of the place. I think that can be quite helpful too. And providing resources.
But sometimes it seems that the problem is in a place where you can reach rather than to the unreached. You know, where are we going wrong?
Like for young people, it's better to give like awareness in their schools by counselors or like teachers. It will be much more better for them.
Sometimes I'm sure that because when we're talking about counselors, we're talking about professionals. I'm sure that they're very well trained, but then oftentimes we see, that something is molded or tagged in a scary form, and then you don't really know what to do with it, because when we talk about on life skills about HIV/AIDS and all, we talk that HIV is this scary thing, more scary than the ghost, I think, right? And then the term used is tamashi. And then on the other hand, you want people to come forward to say that, I want to test for HIV and I'll get treatment. So in other words, you're saying, do you want to do that? So the way when we go to create awareness, when we educate people, the terminology that we use, the methodology that we use to engage people in, are very crucial. Because instead of helping, it may just have opposite impact.
But beyond that, yes, we should have policies in place. Everything starts with a why, right? When we do anything, why, So that why part should be gathered. So to cater to that why, we must have a research carried out. But beyond that, yes, we should have policies in place.